Larry Lawton, let me bring you in, former jewel thief and author of Gangster Redemption. I mean, sir, you're an ex-con. You're one of the biggest jewel robbers in the U.S. You spent more than a decade in federal prison, although I should point out you are now a motivational speaker and talking about, young people avoiding a life of crime and incarceration. But you're the perfect person to talk to about this. When you hear all these details, how big, how complicated was this job in London?
Well, obviously it was complicated, but I really believe it was an inside job, or they had to have inside information. Absolutely, Brooke. Think about it. If they're casing a place that long on the street, there's cameras on the streets, they'd have to really, and also the first thing a robber does, Brooke, is have to know where or how much money or what they're going after. They're not going to go into safe deposit boxes that they don't know that there's a lot of money or diamonds or something very valuable in. So how did they know that?
So you mentioned casing on the street, but to your point, I mean, here they're apparently like they disable the elevator on the second floor, drop down the shaft, have some kind of device that they're able to go through 6 feet of concrete. They knew what they were doing. How much prep work does that require?
A lot. I mean, I would do a robbery myself, and it would take weeks just to plan it out, nothing as elaborate as what they did. But again, if they didn't have inside information, Brooke, it would really be impossible to do. I'm waiting to see when they really take this puzzle apart and where it leads to and who it leads to, whether it's an employee there or maybe somebody who works in a store close by who can say who's coming and going with bags of jewelry, owners of jewelry stores or big stuff like that. So there has to be a connection there. They didn't just pick a jewelry place and say, hey, let's rob this place and plan it out that much. There has to be an inside connection.
So not only though, and then I think the word was audacious that British police used, the fact that they did this once, they then returned for a second night to steal even more jewels.
Well, that doesn't shock me, Brooke, because once you secure the place and you know your time frames and you know when cops are coming and if they got you or not, yes, you might be on edge, but a professional is not gonna. They already have it timed out. They know when somebody was notified. So I don't see them being that scared. I once was in a store for over 40 minutes while police were out front. So it didn't scare me. That didn't scare me because I knew they were going to leave. They weren't there.
40 minutes with cops outside?
No, it really didn't. Well, it didn't because I knew they weren't there for me. They were there for another situation. They were actually parked in front looking at a crosswalk or for traffic people, but I couldn't leave the store. So it didn't scare me because I had it all planned out, how I was going to get out, what my route was. They had this thing timed, planned, and it doesn't shock me. They probably figured it would take a few days to get to the boxes they need. Maybe they didn't get to the ones they thought they were going to get to in the beginning, and they had to come back and get those boxes, which might have been the big money. Remember, Brooke, in diamonds or jewels, you could put a small amount of jewels in a bag that are worth, like you said, $100 million. And it's not a cash thing. They had to know what was in some of those boxes.
They had to know where exactly it was. If they were this good, what's the likelihood, Larry, that they're going to get caught?
Well, whenever you have this amount of people, Brooke, and you have, at minimum, they say 6, I would say has to be 8 or 10 people. They had to have people on the outside monitoring maybe police waves. That's just the ones that they named with their nicknames. With that amount of people, anything can happen. There's an old saying, 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in this situation, but I will tell you, with that many people knowing, something can always go wrong, and that's what the police are waiting for.
It's a lot of money in jewels. Larry Lawton, thank you.
Go ahead. Brooke, you said with the money, now they have to get rid of the money. That's another big thing. If it's diamonds, which they're assuming it is, they have to get rid of that. They have to have a fence. So there's a whole another aspect to this crime that they had to have planned out. You wouldn't do this robbery unless you had all of that planned out. And there's more people that are involved and more people that can get caught or get you caught. So I think they're going to come up with something.
But it's like you think about, you hear about museum heists and people stealing precious paintings. I mean, you can't just roll up with a Manet and expect to get money for it because somebody has to know that there's something fishy there. If I roll up with a really huge piece of diamond, how would they even get money for that?
Well, you know, Brooke, sadly to say, getting rid of diamonds in the diamond business is pretty easy. Let's just say it's not the most upstanding business there is. And they're all trying to, you know, there's a big markup on diamonds. And if the guys who did this robbery, if they get 30%, so they get $30 million out of a $100 million score of retail, let's look at it that. And then it goes down the chain. So, you know, you can get rid of diamonds. If I had a bag of diamonds, I can get rid of a bag of diamonds pretty easy, even today. And that's sad.
I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. Larry Lawton, appreciate your expertise. Thank you.
Have a good day, Brooke.
You too.